So, Hare Krishna, a very warm welcome to our program on Srimad Bhagavatam study. Today, we are going to discuss or continue to discuss our discussion on the first chapter of the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. In the previous class, we had covered from verse number 1 till verse number 11. Today, in this class, we will continue to discuss from 12th verse onwards, and today we will try to complete the full chapter, the first chapter of the second canto. Overall, this is our 53rd class. The other 52 classes are available on Gita Online Study YouTube channel. Those who are joining us for the first time, maybe they can refer to the earlier classes on the YouTube channel. The topic of this chapter is the first step in God realization. So let us start with the Mangalacharan prayers. Rakesh ji, can you remind us who is the Mangalacharan prayer reciter in the class today?
Radha Mataji.
Anuradha Mataji, is Anuradha Mataji available? Okay, maybe she's not there. Anyone would like to recite the Mangalacharan?
I will do, Prabhuji.
Okay, Rakesh, please go ahead.
Om Agyantimirandasya Gyananjanashalaakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swam Rupah Kada Mayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजन सहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयम् उदीरये नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवत्योक्तं श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः.
Very beautifully chanted, Prabhuji. Very nicely chanted. Thank you very much. Okay. So we will start with the recap of the 52nd class. Rakesh ji, would you like to also do the summary or do the recap of the previous class?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, please go ahead.
Summary of class on 26th May 2024, SD Canto 2, Chapter 1, verses 1 to 11. The first step in God realization. The theme of the class was the questions asked by Parikshit Maharaj as to what a person should do in life, should not do in life. Number 2, what one should do in life. And number 3, what one who is dying should do. The short answer is Bhakti, and that is answered by Shukdev Goswami in first 11 verses. Verse number 1. Shri Shukdev Goswami said to Parikshit Maharaj that your questions is glorious because it is beneficial to all kinds of people. In the purport, Sri Prabhupada writes that questions about Lord Krishna are always wonderful because discussions about Lord Krishna can provide us transcendence. Transcendence means that we can cross material existence and go to spiritual existence by discussing topics about Lord Krishna. Prabhupada also compares topics of Krishna to Ganga Jal, as is actually explained in verse number 10:116. वासुदेव कथा प्रश्न पुरुषान् स्त्रीन् पुनाति हि वक्तारं प्रच्छकं श्रोतम istad salilam yatha. Meaning, the Ganges emanating from the toe of Lord Vishnu purifies the three worlds, the upper, middle, and lower planetary system. Similarly, when one asks questions about Lord Krishna, three varieties of men are purified: the speaker or preacher, he who inquires, and the people in general who listen. Verse number 2. Those persons who are materially engrossed, being blind to the knowledge of ultimate truth, have many subject matters for hearing in human society. In this verse, the word Graha Medhi is used, which means those persons who are mainly attached to self and the family. While Grahastha is used for a householder who has established Krishna Bhavana in his heart. Verse number 3. The lifetime of such Grahamedhi is passed at night either in sleeping or in sex indulgence, and the daytime either in making money or maintaining family members. Verse number 4. Persons devoid of Atma Tattva do not inquire into the problems of life, being too attached to the body, children, and wife. They do not see their inevitable destruction. Verse number 5. One who desires to be free from all miseries must hear above, glorify, and also remember the personality of Godhead, who is Savior from all miseries. Verse number 6. The highest perfection of human life achieved either by complete knowledge of matter and spirit, Sankhya, by practice of mystic powers, Yoga, or by perfect discharge of occupational duty, Karma, Karmi, is to remember the personality of Godhead at the end of life. Verse number 7. The topmost transcendentalists who are above the regulative principles and restrictions take pleasure in describing the glories of the Lord. Verse number 8. Sukdev Goswami says that at the end of Dwapar Yuga, I studied Srimad Bhagavatam, which is equal to all the Vedas, from my father Sril Dvaipayana Vyasdev. In the purport, Sril Prabhupada gives one analogy. He says that nobody can become a qualified medical practitioner simply by reading medical books. One has to study under the guidance of learned professors. Similarly, Srimad Bhagavatam can only be learned when our spiritual master is merciful to us. By receiving mercy from our spiritual master, we can understand the spiritual subject matter. And we receive the mercy by having faith and
We lost you, Rakesh ji. You have gone to mute. Kindly unmute yourself.
verse number 9. Shukdev Goswami says that I was certainly situated perfectly in transcendence, yet I was still attracted by the topics of the pastimes of the Lord, who is described by the enlightened verses. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada says that those people who are already situated in Nirgunya, they are already liberated, can also be attracted to the topics of the Supreme Lord. It indicates that Bhakti Yoga is superior to the impersonal liberation. So, attraction of Supreme Lord is divine in nature and they are neither inactive nor impersonal. Verse number 10. One who gives full attention and respect to hearing Srimad Bhagavatam achieves unflinching faith in the Supreme Lord, the giver of salvation. Verse number 11. The constant chanting of the holy name of the Lord after the ways of great authorities is the doubtless and fearless way of success for all, including those who are free from all material desires, those who are desirous of material enjoyment, and also those who are self-satisfied by dint of transcendental knowledge. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Rakesh ji. Nicely summarized. So this is the first 11 verses of the first chapter of second canto. And in the beginning of the class, last time, in the previous class, we mentioned that these 11 verses are very, very important in second canto. Hmm. In whole of second canto, these 11 verses are very, very important. Why these are very important? These verses are very important because the questions that Parikshit Maharaj had asked at the end of the first canto, in the 19th chapter, first canto, they are in a way have been answered by Shukdev Goswami in these first 11 verses. So what were the questions? The questions were what one should do in their life in general, what one should not do in their life. Huh? So these are what is do and what is don't should not do. Then the third one is specifically what that person should do uh, who is about to die. So what one should not do, what one should do, and what one should do if he is going to die. So these were the three main topics, and he answers them systematically one by one. From verse number 2 to 4, he answers what one should not do. Uh, it is like graha medhi. There he defines about graha medhi, that don't get too much attached to your family, your body, etc., etc. Then what one should do? One should do. He gives three answers. One should chant, one should remember, one should glorify Lord Hari. Then what one should do if he's going to die? Then the answer is Ante Narayana Smriti. And ultimately he explains that even within chanting, uh, glorifying, and remembering, ultimately it is the chanting of the holy names. Chanting of the holy names that one should do. That is something in the verse number 11. So this is the whole in 11 verses. Uh, Sukdev Goswami has given his conclusion and has answered Parikshit Maharaj question. So then the question might arise, then Prabhuji, then what is going to happen in the rest of Bhagavatam? So we will discuss this as we move along in the class today. Why then verse number 12, 13, 14, and so on, the other verses are spoken in Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto. We will now discuss. We will start the section today. So this is the whole overview of first chapter of second canto. So as I mentioned, the first 11 verses is establishing the superiority of bhakti. So Shukdev Goswami gave a good answer, one word answer, that one what should do in life, one what should do if he's going to die. The answer is bhakti. If you are living a life, then also you do bhakti. If you are going to die, then also you do bhakti. There are no two different answers. Then now we will continue the discussion from 12th verse onwards, where Shukdev Goswami is going to stress that quality of life actually matters, not the quantity. A life spent in Krishna consciousness, even for 1 second, is much better compared to thousands and hundreds of years of living a life without Krishna bhakti, without Krishna consciousness. So this is he will give you he will give explanation. He will explain us with by giving some examples, and then the discussion further continues from 15th to 39th verse. Now, why is that discussion going on from 59 to 15 to 39th verse? This he starts the discussion about Ashtang Yoga. Already he has given explanation. He has answered the question of Parikshit Maharaj, that whatever questions you have asked, the answer is bhakti. But it is a little surprising that from 15th to 39th verse he is going to start explanation of Ashtang Yoga. Uh, Let us see why he does so. We will see that in a short while. Why he starts elaborating on Ashtang Yoga. Okay, let us start with the 11th verse. We want to start with the 11th verse. Also, we discussed briefly about 11th verse in the previous class, but we again want to start because there are some very good points in the purport that Srila Prabhupada has made about offenses to the holy names. Chanting of the holy name. What are the 10 offenses he has discussed? So we'll once again recite this verse. So anyone who would like to join reciting the verses today?
Yes,
I
Prabhuji.
will, Prabhuji.
Let me try.
Okay, so Vrindavaneshwari
So,
Mataji, Rakesh ji, and Balakrishna Prabhu, is it?
G.
Okay. So Prabhuji, we will come back to you whenever there is a opportunity for recitation or reading. I will let you know. Huh? So please wait for your turn.
Hare Krishna. Hare
Okay.
Krishna.
Yeah. So till then, maybe you can keep your microphone on mute, uh, and then maybe the only person who is going to recite will keep the microphone on. So Vrindavaneshwari Mataji, please chant together with me.
Yes.
Etan nirvidyamanaam
एतान्निर्विद्यमानानाम्
ichchataamakuto bhayam
इच्छतामकुतो भयम्
yoginam nripanirnitam
योगिनां नृपनिर्णीतम्
harer namanukirtanam.
हरे रामानुकीर्तनम्.
Okay, please read the translation.
Open. Constant chanting of the holy name of the Lord after the ways of great authorities is the doubtless and fearless way of success for all, including those who are free from material desires, those who are desirous of material enjoyment, and also those who are self satisfied by dint of transcendental knowledge.
Okay. So as I was mentioning earlier in the summary section when we were discussing the summary, this verse is ultimately Shukdev Goswami brings Maharaj Parikshit to the point that among all the limbs of bhakti, ultimately the topmost limb that we want to achieve is the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. Etan nirvidyamananam ichchatam akuto bhayam yoginam nripanirnitam harer nam anukirtanam. Harer means Lord Hari. Nam Anu Kirtanam. Nam is holy name. Anu actually means according to, or under the guidance of, under the supervision of somebody who knows how to do this Hari Nam Kirtan. Harer Nam Anu Kirtanam. So this Harer Nam Anu Kirtanam is for all. Who are these categories who are actually falling in this category of all? Nirvidyamananam. Nirvidyamananam means these are those people who don't have any material desires, who are completely free from all material desires, and these are something like the unalloyed devotees of the Lord, the pure devotees of the Lord. So they fall in the category of nirvidyamananam. Then the second category is ichchatam. Ichchatam means those people who have lot of material desires. So not only those who have no desires, who are pure, they can chant the holy names, but those also can chant who have ichchatam. Ichchatam means they have a lot of desires, so they can also chant. And then yogi nam. Yogi nam means these are those people who are aspiring for liberation. They are aspiring for liberation, and they are self-satisfied. They are atmarams. They are also purified devotees, but they are aspiring for liberation. So those who don't have any desire, nirvidyamananam, ichchata means those has a lot of desires, and those who are yogis, those who are aspiring for impersonal liberation, all three categories of people can chant the holy names of the Lord. So that is what uh, Shukdev Goswami is ultimately advising Parikshit Maharaj. So in the previous verse, if you remember in the verse number 5, in the verse number 5, Shukdev Goswami had given three three recommendation: Shrotavya, Kirtitavya, Smartavya. Shrotavya means hear about the Lord, Kirtitavya means glorify the Lord, and Smartavya means remembering the Lord. So these are also very important limbs of bhakti. But ultimately, among all these three limbs, he is finally concluding to Harer Nam Anukirtanam. Harer Nam Anukirtanam. So this is what in the 11th verse uh, Shukdev Goswami is recommending to Parikshit Maharaj. Now we will do a little more discussion on this particular verse, specifically the points that Srila Prabhupada has covered in the purport of of this particular verse, chanting of the holy names. So he has elaborated little bit on the offenses in chanting of the holy names. So there are 10 offenses in chanting of the holy names, and we will take one by one. Say the first one is, maybe Vrindavaneshwari Mataji, can you read the offense?
Yes, yes.
Hmm.
To vilify the great devotees who have preached about the glories of the Lord.
Yeah. So when we are in bhakti and when we are doing the Hari Nam on our mala, we do this sadhana every day. Then sometimes people say that we don't get taste in chanting, or we don't enjoy the chanting, or whatever. Maybe they don't find chanting very satisfying, or so they find chanting that the mind is restless, going here and there and so on. So if the sadhaka, if the practitioner of the chanting of the holy names is careful about these 10 offenses, then uh, the chanting can become a very fulfilling and a very satisfying activity. So these are the offenses. The first offense is to vilify the great devotees who have preached about the glories of the Lord. So there are many great devotees who are uh, glorifying the Supreme Lord. They are uh, doing preaching work. They are going to people, public, explaining about the Lord and so on. They have given their lives in doing this activity. So if we vilify, if we criticize, if we blaspheme these devotees of the Lord who are into the preaching of the glories of the Lord, then it is considered a offense towards the holy name of the Lord. Second one.
To see the holy names of the Lord in terms of worldly distinction.
Huh. So worldly distinction. So sometimes we see in our normal day-to-day life also that somebody becomes very famous by a particular name. Say for example, there is a famous film star who has become very famous as Angry Young Man, or maybe there could be many other uh, such examples. So similarly, somebody might think that these names are only mainly because they become famous. The Lord has become famous by this name, and that is why these holy names are chanted or recited. So these are not like have to be seen as in terms of worldly distinction. All the names of the Lord are equally potent, and any bona fide name of the Lord, if we chant, is going to give us the same benefit. So we should not think them as a commercial popularity or so, these holy names. So let us see the third one.
To neglect the orders of the authorized acharyas or spiritual master.
Yeah, so as we progress in our devotional life, we may also decide to accept somebody as our spiritual master, as our guru. So from time to time, the spiritual master might give some instruction, some order. There could be some general instruction, like for example, chant 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra every day without fail. So that is one instruction. Another instruction could be follow four regulative principles. That could be another instruction, and then there could be some specific instruction to a disciple. So if we neglect those orders by our authorized acharyas or guru, then it is also a offense in chanting of the holy names. Okay. Fourth one.
To vilify scriptures or Vedic knowledge.
So criticizing books like Srimad Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam, Ramayana, or other Vedic literature which are based on these books, etc. So if we criticize them, blaspheme them, that they are no good use, they are simply some uh, somebody's whims and fancies that have been uh, discussed in these books. So that is also not going to help us in chanting of the holy name. That is also an offense. Okay. Fifth one.
To define the holy name of the Lord in terms of one's mundane calculation.
Yeah. So giving our own interpretation, giving our own mundane idea that the holy name is something like this, holy name is something like this, it is psychologically beneficial, it is like that, it is ethically, morally beneficial chanting. Some another some different mundane calculation or interpretation if we give, then that is also a offense in the holy name. Actually, holy names are divine, holy names are transcendental. So they are no different from the Lord. If we chant them, it has to be chanted and has to be recited according to the prescribed method by the superior authorities. So if we do it like that, then it is going to give us benefit. Otherwise, it is something like an offense to the holy names. Sixth one.
To consider holy name to be imaginary.
Yeah, it is only a imagination. Like for example, some people say that God, conception of God is simply an imagination to keep the society, the human society in check. So that if you insist, if you instill fear of God in somebody in the human society, that there is some God and that God will punish you, then by thinking like this, the people in the society will become self-controlled, will become disciplined, will not create any untoward incidences and so on. So considering God and holy name of the God as to be imaginary, it's actually a offense against the holy names. So God is not imaginary. Actually, God is much more real than us. So God is not imaginary. Okay. Seventh.
To commit sins intentionally on the strength of holy name.
Very important. So sometimes people think that holy name, when we chant holy name, it will eradicate all our sins. We might have committed some sins in our this life or maybe in the previous life. If we chant the holy name, it will remove our sins. Since it will remove our sins, then we can continue to do sins and then chant holy name to remove our sins. So not we should not commit sins intentionally on the strength of the holy name. Okay. Eighth.
To consider the holy name of the Lord and his chanting method to be equal to some material auspicious activity.
Hmm. So in the Vedic literature, you will find there are many auspicious activities. Auspicious activities means if you do that activity, it is very auspicious for our life. So uh, considering holy name or chanting of the holy name simply as an auspicious activity, certainly it is an auspicious activity. But considering it something like uh, only a materialistic auspicious activity, then that is an offense in the chanting of the holy name.
To instruct, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. To instruct those who are not interested in the enchanting of the holy name.
Hmm. So sometimes when we are doing some preaching work, when we are uh, asking people to take to Krishna Bhakti, to take to Nam Jap, etc., etc., then sometimes people don't take interest. Sometimes people are averse to accepting this spiritual subject matter or these practices. So uh, after a certain time or after a certain attempt, if we continue to insist, if you continue to instruct these people, then it is also an offense to the chanting of the holy name. It is actually not a good idea to continue to instruct somebody who is not showing interest. So we should we should we should not do like that. So that is also an offense in the chanting of the holy name. Okay, 10th one, Mataji.
To become uninterested in the holy name of the Lord, even after hearing of the transcendental nature of the holy name.
So again and again we give the instructions about holy name. It is transcendental, it is divine, it is non-different from the Supreme Lord, etc. These are the offenses that should be avoided, etc. So despite hearing these instructions again and again and again and again, if we continue to do uh, the same offenses, or we show we are uninterested in the chanting of the holy name of the Lord, then that is also a offense in the chanting of the holy name. So if you see the arrangement that Srila Prabhupada has made within ISKCON society, after every Mangal Arti, we do the Mangal Arti of the Lord, then we do Tulsi Puja, and then after the Tulsi Puja, we sit together and then we recite these 10 offenses. So that is the degree of importance that Srila Prabhupada has given to the 10 offenses of the holy name. So many of those who are already attending ISKCON programs regularly through a center, etc., will know about it. But those who are not so much conversant about it, uh, they should know that chanting of the holy names these offenses against the chanting of the holy names are very, very important, and we should guard very carefully against these offenses if we want that our Bhakti Lata Beej, our Krishna Prem, actually continues to grow in our heart. So that is the idea. Okay, now we go to the 12th verse. So we don't have to recite the Sanskrit here. Please read the text.
Yes. Qualities of life matters. One muhurat. It is better to have one muhurat of life knowing about the best engagement than to have hundreds of years not knowing it.
Hmm. So Parikshit Maharaj might have this question, my dear Shukdev Goswami, I only have 7 days to live. Do you think I can develop my Krishna Bhakti within these 7 days? What do you suggest? So Shukdev Goswami kind of understood the uh, mind of Parikshit Maharaj, and he's by reading his mind, he's actually answering this or reciting this shloka mainly to convince Parikshit Maharaj that, my dear Parikshit, even one muhurt spend properly, sincerely in Krishna Bhakti is good enough to become God realized. What to speak of a life which is without Krishna Bhakti, but which is very, very long. So it is better to have one muhurt of life knowing about the best engagement than to have hundreds of years not knowing about it. So that is how he's kind of he's kind of pacifying Parikshit Maharaj that, my dear sir, please don't worry. You have 7 days. Even one muhurt is sufficient, but you actually have 7 days to do this. So he's trying to say that quality is actually much more better than quantity. That is what he's trying to emphasize. So does anyone know in the class how much time period one muhurt actually means? How much time in minutes one muhurt would mean? So it is actually 48 minutes. One muhurt is equal to 48 minutes. So Parikshit Maharaj would have maybe 7 days multiplied by 24 hours, uh, multiplied by maybe 60 minutes divided by 48. So that many muhurtas Parikshit Maharaj would have in 7 days. So ultimately, uh, if we chant, glorify, and remember the Lord, Hari, even for 1 second properly in a proper consciousness, that should be good enough. And Prabhupada gives an example in the purport about the trees. So some of the trees continue to live for hundreds of years. Hundreds of years they continue to stand. But what is the use of such a long life? What is the use of such a long life without doing any Hari Kirtan, without doing any Hari Katha, without doing any chanting of the holy name? So uh, that is what Shukdev Goswami is trying to say, that quality is much better than quantity. So if you can improve on your quality for 7 days, hear Krishna Katha with good attention, with rapt attention, with full devotion, with full conviction, with full faith, with full shraddha, then certainly, my dear Parikshit, you are going to make it. So that is the idea. Okay, we go to the 13th.
Yes.
Hmm.
Khatwang Maharaj had one muhurat left, and he freed himself in that moment by taking Lord's shelter.
Hmm. So Parikshit Sukdev Goswami now mentioned about one muhurt. So from where this idea of one muhurt is coming is actually coming from the life of one very great devotee in the lineage of great kings in the Rajarshis, that was Khatwang Maharaj. So Srimad Bhagavatam also later on you will read this katha of Khatwang Maharaj. But just to narrate you briefly, very briefly, the katha of Khatwang Maharaj, it is like this. So once there was a war between the devatas and the demons, the demigods and the demons, and the demons were having an upper hand in the war. Uh, so the devatas wanted some help, and they requested Khatwang Maharaj to come to Swargaloka in order to help them. So Khatwang Maharaj went to the Swargaloka and helped the demigods in the war. Ultimately, because of Khatwang Maharaj's help, the demigods won that war. and the demigods were very, very pleased by Khatwang Maharaj, and they insisted Khatwang Maharaj to ask something in return, something as a boon from the demigods. Khatwang Maharaj, being a very nice devotee of the Lord, did not show uh, any interest in asking something from the demigods. Uh, but the demigod continued to insist, please ask, please take something from us. So Khatwang Maharaj, in order to know that what he can ask the demigod, he raised one question to the demigods. So, my dear sirs, can you please tell me how much duration of my life is remaining so that I can ask you a proper boon? Accordingly, I may ask you something. So the uh, so the demigod said that your life actually, my dear Khatwang, is nearly over. Hmm. You only have one muhurta of life remaining in your present life. So Khatwang Maharaj immediately left Swargalok, and in that 48 minutes he spent all those time into developing remembrance and remembrance of the Lord. So ultimately, because of that, he achieved full success. So that is why the story of Khatwang Maharaj is being narrated by Shukdev Goswami, that Khatwang Maharaj had just one muhurt left and he freed himself in that moment by taking Lord shelter. So that is the background. Now let us go for the 14th verse. Hmm.
You have not just one muhurta, but 7 days. Make necessary arrangements for your afterlife destination.
Hmm. So Shukdev Goswami is encouraging Parikshit Maharaj that, my dear sir, don't worry, you have many muhurtas. In coming 7 days, there will be multiple muhurtas for you. So make necessary arrangements for your afterlife destination. A very, very important point here. Afterlife destination. So first of all, in this life, in this era that we are living in Kali Yuga, uh, not many people have faith that there is afterlife. Many people say that who have seen this afterlife, who have seen this soul, who have seen this Paramatma, who have seen this spiritual world. Nobody knows about it. This is all fantasy, this is all imagination. But here, Shukdev Goswami is telling Parikshit Maharaj to prepare for your afterlife. Say, for example, when we are in school, when we complete our 12th standard, what do we do? So, Vrindavaneshwari Mataji, what do we do after we complete our 12th standard? Do we become pacified that we have completed 12th standard, or do we do something about it?
We prepare for further studies.
We prepare for further studies, isn't it? So we are careful in our 12th exams that we get good marks, so that we can get admission in a good college. So why do we want an admission in a good college? So we further uh, enhance our qualification, because if we will have our good qualification, then probably we will have a good employment after that. Once we have a good employment, then our miseries regarding maybe earning money, having a good life, maybe having a good wife or a good husband, probably will be resolved, and so on. So after 12th exam, or while we are doing our 12th standard, we are not simply uh, carefree. We are careful. We are very much careful about what are we going to do about after 12th exam, isn't it? So similarly, afterlife destination, thinking about our parlok, thinking about our afterlife, is also a very important preparation that we have to do in this life. So it is a very important preparation, and the best way to prepare for that is to smartavya kirtitavyascha shrotavya kirtitavya smartavya, uh, of whom? Of Lord Krishna, of Lord Krishna. So that is the best preparation that we should be doing. That is what the message from the 14th verse. Okay, now we go to the uh, next section. So this section 12 to 14, 12, 13, and 14, there were three verses where Parikshit Maharaj is being pacified by Shukdev Goswami that, my dear sir, you have uh, quite some time available. Make best use of this time and think carefully about your afterlife preparation. And I think you are well poised, well settled for that activity. And let us now continue to discuss our Srimad Bhagavatam. So, so as I was mentioning in the beginning of the class, the 11 verses that we just studied in the previous class, or today we summarize those 11 verses. The answers that were raised by Parikshit Maharaj have been answered by Shukdev Goswami. Then somebody might ask, then, my dear sir, what is the reason and what is the purpose of reciting Srimad Bhagavatam after the questions have been already answered? So, the answer to that point is, or answer to that doubt is, that in the assembly that had gathered there near the bank of Ganges, uh, where Shukdev Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj were discussing Srimad Bhagavatam, there were many sages assembled there. And not all the sages were bhakti yogis. Many of those sages were transcendentalists, but they were performing or they were following different paths of yoga, of transcendence. Somebody was following Dhyan Yoga, Ashtang Yoga, Gyan Yoga, Karma Yoga, and maybe some other forms of yoga these people were performing. Now, in an assembly of these learned transcendentalists, if Shukdev Goswami makes a statement that bhakti is the superior most yoga, then not everyone is going to accept it. Uh, Say, for example, you come to some assembly, you already have some opinion about some subject matter, and in that assembly, somebody mentions or expresses an opinion which is contrary to your opinion, then you will have doubt naturally in your mind. Maybe you may want to stand up and ask that doubt, but here we understand that Shukdev Goswami already understood. He himself is a transcendentalist. He is himself a Atmaram who was interested in impersonal Brahman in his life when he got birth from Vyasdev. Uh, he was himself a transcendentalist. He was also already Atmaram. He was already purified. But as soon as he took birth, he left his home. But only when he heard about something from Srimad Bhagavatam, the glories of the Lord, then he found that recitation very attractive, and he got curious from where this nice recitation for about whom, which is this personality about this is being discussed right now. So he once again came back to his home and understood Srimad Bhagavatam from Vyasdev. So he Shukdev Goswami himself elevated his understanding about transcendence in his own life. So he understood that there would be sages assembled or present in the assembly who would not take my idea of Bhakti Yoga to be the supreme just like this. Just like I am speaking, saying that Bhakti Yoga is supreme, they may not accept it. Yeah, I may have to explain about it. I may have to elaborate about it. I may have to put things in perspective. I may have to contrast. Contrast means I have to present what is Bhakti Yoga. I have to present what is Dhyan Yoga. I have to tell people that this is Dhyan Yoga, this is Bhakti Yoga, and maybe you can compare now. This is how you need to perform Dhyan Yoga. This is how you need to perform Bhakti Yoga. So when I will elaborate upon these topics, you will better become convinced about uh, naturally accepting my argument that Bhakti Yoga is the superior most. So with this intention, with this intention, Shukdev Goswami continues to elaborate upon the topic. And now what he does is he elaborates about Ashtang Yoga. What is Ashtang Yoga? So that people or the sages who are present in the assembly who are more inclined towards Ashtang Yoga or considered Ashtang Yoga to be the superior most, they can relate to Shukdev Goswami much better. And ultimately, when Shukdev Goswami gives his final conclusion about superiority of Bhakti Yoga at the end of second chapter, then they may be in a better situation to accept his verdict, accept his argument. So, Vrindavaneshwari Mataji, please read from the text here.
Yes. Yes. Sukadev Goswami now answers Parikshit's question of duty of dying man by first describing the path of Ashtanga Yoga, which was the opinion held by some of the sages in the assembly. He will give his final opinion in 2.2.33 to 37.
Yeah, so we are now in the first chapter. In the second chapter, later on, you will see that after giving explanation about Ashtanga Yoga and maybe other forms of transcendence, like maybe demigod worship or maybe Karma Yoga, etc., etc., he will ultimately establish his final opinion in the 33 to 37th verses of the next chapter. But before that, let us see what he has to say on the topic of Ashtanga Yoga. Please read.
Yes. A person on this path, being free from the fear of death, must cut off all his material desires with the weapon of detachment.
Hmm. So he has now started his topic, his lecture or his katha on Ashtanga Yoga. So in the beginning, he first of all mentions about that a person on this path, on this which path? Ashtanga Yoga. Being free from the fear of death must cut off all his material desires with the weapon of detachment. So uh, first of all, he's saying that he must cut off all his material desires. So material desires are very very important subject matter of for any transcendentalist, for any spiritualist who is interested or who is curious to progress in spiritual life. The topic of material desire should be of great interest to such person. Why? Because it is the desires only which shapes our next life. How do we get our next life? It is mainly based on our desires. If we develop some kind of desires within this life, then at the end of our life, the material nature looks into those desires, and if we also have sufficient good karma, then uh, the material nature uh, fulfills our desire and give us a body accordingly. So for example, in this life, if we have developed a lot of spiritual desires, we have made some progress, we have uh, tried our best in developing some spiritual desires, then certainly in the next life we are going to get some facility where we are going to practice with on those facility to further our growth of our spiritual desires. But if we have not developed like this, if we have continued to develop our material desires, then maybe we may get a life which may be a little more fruitful to fulfill those material desires. For example, if somebody has developed desires for eating a lot of meat, hmm, then in the next life the person may get a body of a lion. A lion is a carnivorous animal who only eats meat. So the material nature says that you have developed a very strong desire for eating meat, then take this body of a lion and fulfill your desires to your heart's content. So like this, material desires are very very important for a spiritualist. So what this verse is saying is that a person on this path, on the path of Ashtanga Yoga, being free from fear of death, if he wants to free himself from the fear of death, must cut off all his material desires with the weapon of detachment. So material desires can have various shapes. We may have material desire for uh, a big house, a nice expensive car with lot of name and fame in the society. There could be many. We may have a material desire to see our grandchildren get married. Uh, we may have a material desire to have association with a very beautiful person of an opposite sex, and so on and so forth. So there could be a long list of material desires. But those people who are serious about spiritual life, they have to watch out for their material desires. They need to keep their material desires in check and need to focus on developing more and more and more spiritual desires. And what are the examples of spiritual desires? Can someone from the class share some of the examples of spiritual desires?
Mukti,
Bhakti, yes, Mataji. So spiritual desires could be: I will chant the holy names of the Lord more and more. I will associate with the devotees more and more. I will read Srimad Bhagavatam more and more. Hmm. I will go to holy places, pilgrimages. I will take association of my spiritual master more and more. I will serve my spiritual master more and more. Like this, there could be lots and lots of spiritual desires. So if we develop some spiritual desires uh, seriously, then we are moving away from material desires and we are moving towards transcendence. So that is the idea. Okay. Now we move to the 16th verse. So in the 16th verse, the process of Ashtanga Yoga is now elaborately described. Huh? Process of Ashtanga Yoga. So the Ashtanga Yoga process, as the word itself implies, is actually Ashtanga. Ashtanga means it has 8 limbs. Ashtanga Yoga means that form of yoga which has got 8 limbs. So here from the 16th verse onwards, Shukdev Goswami is now giving a description of Ashtanga Yoga. So I have not mentioned the translation of the verse, nor I have mentioned the Sanskrit of the verse, mainly because that is not our activity. As Bhakti Yogis, we are not much interested in Ashtanga Yoga as such. We are reading this, we are studying this section on Ashtanga Yoga mainly to uh, gain knowledge that what is there in chapter number 1 of the second canto. So, what I will do is, I will read the translation myself here from Srimad Bhagavatam, what is present before me, and then I will explain to you what is written on the slide. So I have made a nice table, as you can see on the slide, in which 16, 17, 18, and 19 are the verse numbers. And then in each of these verse, each limb of Ashtanga Yoga is indicated. It is not directly named, but from the description of Shukdev Goswami, we can understand that he is describing this particular limb of Ashtanga Yoga. So, what are the 8 limbs of Ashtanga Yoga? As you can see on the screen, Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayam, Pratyahar, Dharan, Dhyan, and Samadhi. So these are the 8 limbs of Ashtanga Yoga, starting from Yama, Niyam, Asan, Pranayam, Pratyahar, Dharan, Dhyan, Samadhi. So they are in sequence. Uh, First of all, we start with Yama, Niyama, Asan, Pranayam, then we do Pratyahar, then we move on to Dharana, ultimately we move to Dhyan, and then finally we move to Samadhi. Like this, the process of Ashtanga Yoga goes on. So 16th and 17th verses read like this. Let me read it for you. The person controlling his senses should leave the house, take bath in the holy places, and then sitting on a seat made according to the rules in a solitary clean place should repeat the pure syllable Om.
Yes.
Okay. So what I was asking in the class, what do you know by Yam and Niyama? Can anyone explain what do you mean by Yam and Niyama?
Yama is kind of a discipline that we do.
Hmm. Okay.
Niyam is like you take niyam, you fix
Okay.
a routine or something like that.
Yeah. So I will
Become
give
regular
you a
life.
simple answer. Yam Niyam means do's and don'ts. So few
Yeah,
things we need to
yeah,
do, few things we don't need to do. And if you see
yes,
Ashtanga Yoga process, there are a list of yamas and there is a long list of niyamas. Say, for example, we need not steal, we need not say lies, we need to take bath, we need to keep ourselves clean. So these are some do's and don'ts. I'm not going to elaborate on those, but in the process of Ashtanga Yoga, first of all, the process starts with do's and don'ts, yam and niyama. So, like this in the explanation, Shukdev Goswami is saying that the person controlling his senses should leave the house, take bath in holy places. So you can call them yam and niyam. You can categorize them as yam and niyam, and then sitting on a seat made according to the rules in a solitary, clean place. So the third step in Ashtanga Yoga is asan. Asan means like you would have heard about yogasan, like Padmasan, and then there are multiple asan. Typically, people who have some understanding, popular understanding of yoga out in the outside world is about these yogasanas only. So their understanding is restricted only to doing some bodily postures. That is simply for them is the whole breadth and width of the term called yoga, but actually it is only a one small limb in the Ashtanga yoga process where asana is there. We need to do some asanas. The idea is mainly to keep the body healthy and to keep the mind healthy. So that is the main idea. And then uh, uh, after that, the uh, next step is pranayam. It is saying in the verse is should repeat the pure syllable om using the mind and controlling the breath. Make the mind motionless while remembering om. So pranayam is mainly about breathing, breathing out, breathing in, like we call this rechak and kumbhak, and then maybe holding the breath. So we breathe in, inhale, and then maybe hold the breath, or maybe we breathe out and then hold the breath, like that. So that is called pranayam. So what does pranayam do? The pranayam help us in calming our agitated mind. So make the mind motionless. Make the mind motionless. So the mind has the tendency to go here and there. So by doing this pranayam, the idea is mainly to keep the mind more regulated and more motionless. And this can be done by doing by chanting om, om, like this. So you might have seen that. Uh, so these are the first four limbs of uh, Ashtanga Yoga. Then comes the 18th. So what does the 18th description says in Srimad Bhagavatam? One should restrain the senses.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mataji.
No, I thought you asked me to finish. I'm sorry.
No, 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 no. Okay, I'm just reading the explanation. So the explanation says one should restrain the senses, such as the eye, from the sense objects by the mind, whose assistant is the intelligence, and concentrate with intelligence on the Lord. The mind is always agitated by previous karmas. So the 18th verse is explaining about the process of pratyahar. So pratyahar means, what does the word ahar means? Ahar means food. Ah, so generally we refer food to say for example maybe some eatables. Uh, Mainly ahar is mainly for our stomach. Ah, but ahar could also mean the sense objects. For example, our eyes like to see something beautiful. Our ears would like to hear something melodious. Our nose would like to smell something fragrant. So fragrance is the ahar of nose. Melodious sound is an ahar for our ear, and good beautiful objects is an ahar for our eyes. So our senses also feed upon different types of ahar. But for an ashtang yogi, uh, ashtang yogi should refrain uh, by controlling his senses, by withdrawing his senses from all these sense objects which can deviate his mind towards these external objects. So that is why the ashtang yoga, it is recommended to go into the forest where the surrounding is very peaceful, very sattvic, and there is not much distraction about some worldly beauty and worldly things and so on, like that. So pratyahar means withdraw the mind from sense activities. So the mind is withdrawn. So the yogi sits in asana, controls his breathing, brings his mind to a very peaceful situation. The mind is not restless, and then he tries to withdraw the senses internally. He tries to take the senses internally. He kind of tries to avoid the senses to come in contact with sense objects, like that. So that stage is known as pratyahar. So these are the first five stages of Ashtang Yoga. Then in the 19th verse, or in the 18th verse, it is mentioned that once these senses are withdrawn, then what one should do? Fix the mind with intelligence on the Lord's form. Now the mind is calm, the senses are withdrawn internally. So what one should do is one should actually start to meditate, uh, dhyan on the Lord's form. So Lord has a form. The yogi should now try to meditate upon internally on the form of the Lord. So that is called dharana. Dharana. The word is dharana. So in the dharana, what happens is that the Lord has a beautiful form. So the yogi tries to focus his attention on meditating upon the Lord's beautiful form. That is what it is done in the dharana stage. So the mind becomes steady by concentrating on the Lord in general. And then comes the dhyana stage. So what does dhyana stage says? Let us read the 19th verse. One should then meditate on the limbs of the Lord, one after the other, with uninterrupted mind. Using the mind detached from sense objects, one should not think of anything else. That is the Brahman aspect of the Lord, in which the mind is extinguished. So it is giving you both the stages, dhyan stage and samadhi stage. So dharana stage, the practitioner is meditating upon the overall form of the Lord. But in dhyana stage, the meditation becomes even more deeper. Now the yogi meditates upon or have concentrates upon individual limbs of the Lord, his lotus feet, his lotus thighs, his lotus abdomen, his lotus face, his lotus eyes, his eyebrows, and so on. Like that, individually he go to each and every limb and concentrate without losing focus on the overall form of the Lord. So that's what happens in dhyan. So in dhyan, the meditation becomes even more deeper. And then what happens in samadhi? In samadhi, the mind completely reconciles in Vishnu without any other thought. So now it is in full samadhi from with dharana, dhyan, and samadhi. Ultimately, he moves into the samadhi. Here he says, uh, using the mind detached from the sense objects, one should not think of anything else. That is the Brahman aspect of the Lord, in which the mind is extinguished. So the mind is extinguished. The mind is completely has been extinguished, and then the full absorption on the form of the Lord is there. But the ultimate objective of Ashtang Yogi is, what is the ultimate objective of Ashtang Yogi? Who will tell me?
To
Lotus feet of the
detach
Lord?
himself from the material desires.
No, 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 no. Yeah, that is certainly is there. But what is the ultimate
To
objective?
Brahman,
To complete.
Brahman,
Imper-
Brahman conception, yes, to merge
to
with the Brahman.
impersonal liberation, mukti, mukti. That is the objective of the Ashtang Yogi. Mukti. He just don't want to remain in the material existence. He want to go to the spiritual existence. He want to enter into the Brahma Jyoti aspect, where everything is spiritual. But he is not going to attain the lotus feet of the Lord, but enter into the Brahma Jyoti. That is the main idea. So that is what he reaches to the stage of samadhi. Okay, is it clear till this point? All the 8 angas of Ashtang Yoga are clear. Any question? Okay, let us move. No questions, so we move forward. Okay, now I would like to invite Rakesh ji to help me read, and in case there are verses to chant also. Rakesh ji, please read.
Ashtanga Yoga,
Hmm,
Ashtanga Yoga for attaining liberation.
hmm,
Dharana destroys the contamination of the mind which is agitated by Rajas.
hmm.
Paramatma, through such dharana, quickly achieves his desired goal of liberation.
Yeah. So one thing I want to tell you here is, in the previous table, before we move to the next one, the first 5 limbs: Yama, Niyama, Asan, Pranayam, and Pratyahar. Yam, Niyam, Asan, Pranayam, Pratyahar. These are actually preparatory limbs. Preparatory limbs. And actual Dhyan Yoga starts with Dharan, then goes into Dhyan, and then ultimately into Samadhi. So that is the main Dhyan Yoga: Dharan, Dhyan, and Samadhi. Dharan means is the initial stage of Dhyan. Dhyan means more deeper, and Samadhi is ultimately realizing Brahman. Realizing Brahman. But the first 5 are the preparatory limbs. They are not actual Dhyan Yoga, but they are preparation for Dhyan Yoga. Dhyan Yoga starts mainly from Dharana, then goes to Dhyan, and then to Samadhi. Here in the verses 20th and 21st, uh, deeper, further deeper understanding of dharana is given. So we understood that in pratyahar, what did we do? We withdraw the senses from the sense objects. And in dharana, what we are trying to do? We are trying to focus on the form of the Lord. Now, what happens in dharana is being mentioned here. When we try to focus on the form of the Lord, then what happens? It mentions dharana destroys the contamination of the mind. And from where this contamination is coming? Which is agitated by rajas. Which is agitated by rajas. Maybe I have not. Sorry, I might have made some mistake here. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. I may have mistyped few things here. Hmm. Which is agitated by rajas and bewildered by tamas. The yogi who sees the Lord through such dharana quickly achieves his desired goal of liberation. So I have made a mistake here. I did not typed it correctly. So uh, the point is dharana destroys the contamination of mind which is agitated by rajas and bewildered by tamas. So from where this contamination in our mind comes, it mainly comes from rajoguna and tamoguna. And when the yogi is doing dharana, then what is actually achieving? He's removing the contamination of the mind, which is coming from rajas and tamas. And then what happens as a result of destroying this contamination or eradicating this contamination? What happens is the yogi who sees the Lord as Paramatma through such dharana quickly achieves his desired goal of liberation. Quickly achieves his desired goal of liberation. So this is a advanced yogi. This is a description of an advanced yogi. When an advanced yogi enters into the dharana, there is some contamination, and he does this dharana, and then removes these, destroys this contamination because of rajoguna and tamoguna, and then quickly achieves his desired goal of liberation. So, what is being mentioned here? Liberation. It is not the lotus feet of the Lord. The objective of yogi, dhyan yogi, is mainly to achieve liberation. So that is what he does in dharana stage. Hmm. So in the dharana stage, the material mind is now brought in contact with spiritual subject matter. So far the yogi had done only pratyahar. In pratyahar, he has withdrawn his senses internally, and internally now he is meditating upon the form of the Lord. So he's bringing his mind in connection with the spiritual subject matter. And when he brings his mind in contact with the spiritual subject matter and does it properly, then the contamination due to rajas and tamas are destroyed, and the desired goal of liberation is achieved. So that is the main subject matter. Okay, now uh, we move to the 22nd verse. We move to the 22nd verse, and the 22nd verse is actually three questions by Parikshit Maharaj. Hmm. And what are these three questions? Uh, Rakesh ji, can you read question number 1?
How is dharana accomplished?
Question number 2?
What is bona fide dharana shra, object of meditation?
Okay.
How to
Question.
quickly remove the contamination of the mind?
So Parikshit Maharaj is listening to Shukdev Goswami while he is explaining about Ashtang Yoga. Shukdev Goswami just now explained about all these 8 limbs: Yam, Niyam, Asan, Pranayam, Pratyahar, Dharan, Dhyan, Samadhi. These 8 limbs he has been narrating to Parikshit Maharaj. So Parikshit Maharaj has now question for Shukdev Goswami. He asks 3 questions. He's curious about the spiritual subject matter. So he has not asked question about Yam, Niyam, Asan, Pranayam and Pratyahar. He's straight away asking question about Dharana. What happens in Dharana? Dharana, there is a meditation upon the form of the Lord. So he is asking, how is Dharana accomplished? how one somebody who is doing dhyan yoga accomplishes dharana. Then what is the bona fide dharana ashray? Dharana ashray. So dharana ashray means he's meditating upon. But what actually he's meditating upon? What actually he's supposed to meditate upon? So that is the question. What is that? Then the third question is how to quickly remove the contamination of the mind. So these are the three questions. Now somebody might say that Parikshit Maharaj is showing a lot of curiosity about Ashtanga Yoga, and he's asking questions about Ashtanga Yoga. So probably the goal of Srimad Bhagavatam, or the main subject matter of Srimad Bhagavatam, is Ashtanga Yoga. But that is not the case, as it will be clear in the later chapters. Parikshit Maharaj is simply asking these questions about dharana or yoga process out of curiosity, and not because he wanted to practice about it. He was fully aware that Shukdev Goswami is raising this topic mainly because of the some of the sages that have been assembled here, and who are curious about knowing about Ashtanga Yoga, why Ashtanga Yoga is not the topmost yoga system, why Bhakti Yoga has been mentioned by Shukdev Goswami as topmost yoga system. So he is raising this curiosity mainly to uh, initiate the discussion further upon this on this topic. So first of all, he is asking how is dharana accomplished, what is the bona fide dharanashray, object of meditation, and how to quickly remove the contamination of the mind. So question number 1, the answer is given in the next verse. How is dharana accomplished is told in the question number in the verse number 23, the very next verse. We will see that next verse in a short while. Then on question number 2, what is a bona fide dharan ashray? What is the bona fide dharan ashray? Now he's asking basically is what actually the yogi when he does dharana meditate upon, वो किसके ऊपर ध्यान करता है? योगी जो है जब वो अंदर धारण करता है तो वो वास्तव में किस वस्तु का ध्यान कर रहा है? तो उसका आंसर, द आंसर टू दैट क्वेश्चन इज इट इज टू possibilities. Two possibilities means if a yogi is a neophyte means he's not a very advanced yogi, he's something like a beginner. Then for such a neophyte devotee, the recommendation is to mainly meditate upon the Virat Roop of the Lord. And in case the yogi is advanced, he's very qualified, he's very experienced, and so on, then such a advanced yogi uh, can meditate upon the Paramatma form of the Lord. So there are two possibilities for dharana. Say I am a yogi, I am doing yama, niyama, asana, pranayam, and then I enter into dharana. Now, what should I meditate upon? If I am neophyte, if I am an inexperienced, I have still material desires in my heart, then the recommendation is I meditate upon the Virat Roop. We will discuss about Virat Roop later. And if I am very experienced, I have no desires, I am mostly cleansed of my desires, uh, lust, anger, greed, pride, illusion, envy. I've cleaned up all those. Then I can meditate upon the Paramatma form of the Lord. Okay. So the discussion about Virat Rupa of a neophyte yogi, that answer is given in verse number 24 and 25 of this chapter. And then uh, later on, from uh, uh, from the later on, the verse number, say for example 26th onwards, Shukdev Goswami gives an elaborate description about the Virat Roop of the Lord. And then ultimately he comes back to the Paramatma description also, and that he starts from the 12th verse of the second chapter, the next chapter. So is it clear till now? Can you tell me, can somebody confirm that the concept is clear till now? Vrindavaneshwari Mataji,
Yeah.
is it clear?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm?
Almost.
Okay. Now it
What I learned is like you were interesting. Like when we say that yogi is doing dharana, then on what he is meditating on, that's a great loophole in the process.
yeah, what he's meditating upon. Not there is not a one single answer. There is not a simple answer.
Yeah.
There are two possibilities. If he has desires, then he is not a
Yes.
advanced yogi. If he is not
Yeah.
an advanced yogi, then he is supposed to recommend it to do dharana or to do meditation upon the Virat Roop. We will understand about what is Virat Roop little later. And then if he's experienced, if he has cleansed, he has no desires, then he meditates upon Paramatma.
Yeah.
That is clear?
Yes. Yes, definitely.
Okay. Now we go to the same concept. I have tried to explain this with the form of a flow chart. So in today's class, I think we will continue till only to the flow chart because the time might get over. Or maybe we can discuss little more about it. But I would like you to understand this flow chart very well. So I want to spend some 5-10 minutes on the flow chart. So far, whatever I have explained in the previous verse is given in this flow chart. So what do you see here? Rakesh ji, can you read?
Yam,
Then
Niyam,
hmm,
Asan, Pranayam, Pratyahar.
Pratyahar. Okay, wait. So here the 5 preliminary stages are given. Preparatory stages. Yam, Niyam, Asan, Pranayam, Pratyahar. Preparatory stages for Dhyan Yoga. Is it clear? Rakesh ji, is it clear?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Now, for Dharana stage, you see a big box. Okay. So, for
Yes.
a yogi who has completed Pratyahar, he now enters into the Dharana stage. Now, there is a decision box, desires. If he has desires, yes, then what does he do? What is Dharana Ashray? Where does he go? Rakesh ji?
To Virat Roop
Virat
for
Roop.
Paramatma.
To Virat Roop. If he has desires in his heart, then he goes to Virat Roop. Meditate
Virat Roop.
upon Virat Roop. Meditate upon Virat Roop. If he has no desires,
Oh,
then where does he go?
To
to
Paramatma.
Paramatma.
To
Okay.
Paramatma. So for Virat Roop, the person who is doing meditation upon Virat Roop is neophyte yogi, and the person who is
Yeah.
doing meditation upon Paramatma is an advanced yogi,
Advanced.
senior person. Hmm. Then what happens? Let us see. So for advanced yogi, uh, he does dharana, he does meditation upon the Paramatma Roop. While doing meditation upon Paramatma Roop, all his contamination, whatever little bit contamination is there, is all gone. By which is created by Rajas or Tamas, it is all gone because he's meditating upon the spiritual form of the Lord. So the spiritual destroys the material, and then he enters into the Dhyan stage. From Dhyan stage, he goes to Samadhi. From Samadhi, in Samadhi, what happens? He gets Brahman realization. Brahman realization. Then ultimately, when he gets Brahman realization, then he's ready to leave his body through Shat Chakra Yoga. So what does he do in Shat Chakra Yoga? This is what we discussed in 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita also. In Shat Chakra Yoga, he raises his prana shakti, which is there in the Mooladhara chakra, and he raises to mainly to the Agya chakra. He raises it. To Agya chakra, and through the
Kundalini Jagran.
and then from the Agya chakra he leaves the body and liberates. He liberates himself. So this is a quick process of Dhyan Yoga, where the yogi is more or less cleansed. He has no desires practically, and he enters into Dharana stage. Then from Dharana, he quickly achieves to Dhyan, Samadhi, Brahman realization, and through Shat Chakra Yoga, he raises his Prana Shakti from Mooladhara Chakra to Agya Chakra and then gets liberation. Is it clear till now?
Yeah.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Now, what happens to this neophyte yogi? So, neophyte yogi is meditating upon Virat Roop. Hmm. While meditating upon Virat Roop, what happens? One possibility is that he cleanses all his desires. While meditating upon Virat Roop, he now has no desires remaining. Then what does he do? He then goes to the Paramatma, he starts meditating upon Paramatma and then enters into Dhyan, then Samadhi, then Brahman realization, Shat Chakra Yoga, and then liberation. Is it clear?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Now, what happens is, for this Dharana Ashraya, for this neophyte yogi, even after meditating upon Virat Roop, his desires are not cleansed. His desires are still remaining. Then what does he do? Then he goes to Krama Mukti. This stage is called Krama Mukti. Krama Mukti means gradual Mukti, stage by stage, step by step. Then what happens is he first of all goes to Vaishnavar Loka, then Shishumar Loka, Mahar Loka, Brahma Loka, and then changes from earth, watery, fiery, airy, and ethery. Then pierces false ego, pierces Mahat Tattva, pierces Pradhan, and then finally achieves liberation. Finally achieves liberation. So now the details of Dhyan Yoga are being mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. Is it clear till now?
Dhyan Yoga or we are in Ashtanga Yoga?
Dhyan Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga is the same thing. Ashtanga Yoga is another name of Dhyan Yoga.
Okay,
But
then it is clear.
is it clear now?
Yes.
If this much is clear, we will revisit this chart later also. But if this is clear, then what happens is then the second half of the first chapter and the first half of the second chapter is clear to you. This is what is described in the second half of the first chapter and the first half of the second chapter. Okay?
Yes.
Okay. Now we move to the next slide. So the next slide is Rakesh ji, were you reading? Please read 23rd.
Answer to question 1. Accomplishing dharana.
Hmm.
After perfecting the preliminary limbs of Ashtanga Yoga and up to Pratyahar, one can meditate on the Lord.
Hmm. Hmm. So what was the question number 1? How to accomplish dharana? How to accomplish dharana? So the answer given is after perfecting the preliminary limbs of Ashtanga Yoga and up to Pratyahar, one can then meditate upon the Lord. A very simple question, but answered very nicely. So is it clear? In 23rd verse, typically what he's saying is uh, having perfected asanas and breathing, having given up bad association and conquered the senses, one should concentrate the mind on the gross form of the Lord with the intelligence. So here in 23rd verse, the answer is mainly towards the neophyte devotee, neophyte yogi. Uh, what he's saying is in the gross form of the Lord with the intelligence. Gross form. Gross form is actually the Virat Roop. Is it clear? The answer to this question is clear.
Yes.
Hmm? Okay, so
Yes.
he's saying that you do preliminary practice. Preliminary practice means you do uh, uh, perfect your asana, perfect your breathing, pranayam, given a bad association, should not have any bad association, and then you can conquer the senses. Conquer the senses means pratyahar. Then once you complete till pratyahar, then meditate upon the gross form of the Lord. Gross form of the Lord is actually the Virat Roop form of the Lord. Okay. Now we move to the 24th verse. Rakesh ji, please read.
Dharanashraya of neophyte or attached yogi.
Hmm.
This gigantic manifestation of the phenomenal material world as a whole is the personal body of the absolute truth, wherein the universal resultant past, present, and future of material time is experienced.
Okay. So now Dharanashraya of neophyte is or attached yogi. That is, what was the Dharanashraya of neophyte yogi? Dharanashraya of
Virat
neophyte yogi
Roop.
was the Virat Roop. So I've given you a small picture of Virat Roop, uh, a sample of Virat Roop picture here, as described in one of the websites, Vaishnava website. So just for your interest, this is one picture being made. So what is actually Virat Roop? Hmm? So Virat Roop is something meant for the neophyte yogi. Now neophyte yogi, if you ask this neophyte yogi that you have to meditate upon the Paramatma form of the Lord, then the neophyte, being a neophyte, may question about it. Who is this Paramatma? I don't believe in Paramatma. This cannot happen. I don't agree with you, and all kind of debates and arguments this neophyte yogi may give. Uh, how I have never seen this Paramatma. Is this concept really correct? So all that kind of argument the neophyte may give. So in order to prepare the neophyte to come to the level or to rise to the level of accepting the Paramatma form of the Lord within the heart, he's advised mainly to do the meditation upon the Virat Roop. Now, what is this Virat Roop? Virat Roop is an imaginary form of the Lord. But this imaginary form of the Lord is a bona fide imagination. Bona fide imagination means it is approved by the scriptures. Why? Why it is bona fide? Because by following this way, one can elevate one understanding, or one can elevate oneself towards understanding of the Paramatma form of the Lord. So, what is this Virat Roop? Virat Roop actually is uh, it is a form of the Lord which consists of all the elements in the universe. In the universe, there are multiple lokas: Satyalok, Maharlok, Taplok, Janalok, etc., etc. There are different planets. There are different elements uh, of material world. So all those various elements of the universes are described as a limb of the body of the Lord. And we will see some examples little later. So first of all, there you need to remember or understand few things. What is first thing? Virat Roop is an imaginary form, but this is a bona fide imagination. Bona fide imagination means it is accepted by the scripture. It is not something by our own whims and fancies. It is a bona fide imagination. Why do we need this bona fide imagination for a neophyte yogi? Because the neophyte yogi does not accept or may not accept the uh, advanced conception of Paramatma, etc., etc. He may be too attached to the outside world. He may be of the opinion that seeing is believing. What I see, I believe. What I don't see, I don't believe. So since I don't see Paramatma, I don't believe in Paramatma. But I see mountains, I see rivers, I see sun, I see moon, I see many other things in the material nature, and I believe in them. So the Paramatma form, this Virat Roop form of the Lord, uh, is consisting of various elements of the universe, uh, as represented by the various bodily limbs of the Lord. This neophyte yogi, he imagines these various limbs of the Lord's body. Imagine these various elements, like for example, he may see the rivers in the universe, or the rivers in the material nature, as the veins of the Lord. Veins, in the body there are veins. So he may see that these rivers are like veins of the Lord, or these mountains, etc., are actually the bones of the Lord, like this. So is it clear about the conception of the Virat form, Virat Roop?
Yes.
Yes, Prabhu.
Rakesh ji, Jaimala
Yes,
Mataji,
Prabhu.
is it clear? Geetamrita Krishna Sevani Mataji, is it clear, Virat Roop, what I am trying to explain?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. And Nitin Mataji, is it clear? Nitin Shukla ji, is it clear?
जी प्रभु जी, थोड़ा थोड़ा क्लियर हो रहा है. मेरी क्वेरीज हैं जो हम लास्ट के लिए रोक के रख रहे हैं.
Okay, ठीक है, okay. So this is about the 24th verse, where neophyte devotees dharana ashraya, the object of meditation of a neophyte devotee, is being mentioned, and we gave you some idea about uh, uh, what how we should understand about this Virat form, Virat Roop form. Now, little more. Now let us go a little more further. In Bhagavad Gita also there is a description of the Virat Roop, or the universal form of the Lord. But what do we see in Bhagavad Gita? In Bhagavad Gita, we see that Arjuna was given some special eyes, and the Lord manifested his Virat Roop in front of Arjuna, in which what happened? Arjuna saw everything in the universe in one place. He saw various planets, he saw various demigods, he saw present, past, future, everything in the universe that is supposed to be seen, or that possibly could be seen. He could see that in one single place by those divine eyes which were facilitated by the Lord. So the Virat Roop or the Vishwaroop defined in Bhagavad Gita is actually something real what Arjuna was seeing, which was present before him because of the mercy of the Lord. But what we are reading in Srimad Bhagavatam here is more of a conceptualization of some imaginary form of the Lord, which is called as the Virat Roop. And you have to imagine different elements of the material nature or universe as limb of the body of the Lord. And this is mainly to help the yogi to realize deeper spiritual subjects by meditating on something which is visible, because this yogi is mainly interested in something visible on which he can believe, on which he can put his faith on. So that is something what he wants to do. So he's given this imaginary bona fide way to meditate upon the Lord, which will help him gradually rise uh, towards conceptions like Paramatma, which are not visible, but gradually by doing this meditation, by doing this practice, he will gradually start to have faith, have developed this faith onto the form which is like Paramatma form. So we will kind of stop here uh, because of time. I think we are already 10 minutes over. Uh, we will continue our rest of our discussion in the next class. Probably we will take another 10 more minutes to finish off this discussion, because most of the concepts, the most difficult concepts from this chapter, I think you have already picked up. So we kind of stop here. I will cover the remaining slides in the next class. All glories to Srimad Bhagavatam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Now let us take some comments, questions, or any takeaways you might have. And then next class services, let me update this slide. But meanwhile, like Nitin Mataji wanted to ask something, kindly mention your question, Mataji. Yeah.
जी प्रभु जी, आपने मेंशन किया दो चीजें, एक तो कि नियोफाइट के लिए वो विराट रूप पे मेडिटेट करना होता है, ध्यान लगाना होता है, नियोफाइट करता है ऐसे। और दूसरा था कि जो एडवांस स्टेज में होते हैं भक्ति की, वो परमात्मा स्वरूप पे फोकस करेंगे।
जी, भक्ति की नहीं,
तो
ध्यान योग की।
हाँ, ध्यान योग की। तो अच्छा, ओके, ध्यान योग हम भक्ति का समझ रहे थे, ठीक है सर, यहाँ पे तो ठीक है गुरुजी। देन अनदर क्वेश्चन वाज कि आपने बोला कि अभी ध्यान योग और ये अष्टांग योग एक है, तो ये कहना ठीक होगा कि अष्टांग योग का एक पार्ट है ध्यान योग अपने में सेपरेट है?
देखिए, ध्यान योग एक्चुअली स्टार्ट होता है धारण ध्यान समाधि से। उसके जो पिछले जो 5 लिम्स हैं, दे आर मेनली प्रिपरेटरी लिम्स। बट टिपिकली व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट ध्यान योग, we are referring to Ashtang Yoga only. But once you have a deeper understanding of the Ashtang Yoga, you understand that actually Dhyan starts from Dharana stage. But since the preparatory stages are also considered part of Dhyan Yoga, they are all together known as Dhyan Yoga or Ashtang Yoga interchangeably. There's not much difference there.
ठीक है गुरुजी, क्लियर है?
Clear है ना? Okay.
हाँ हाँ, थैंक यू।
Okay जी, nice. So as I was mentioning in the previous class, second canto is more technical. So you will find these technical details, dharana, dhyan, samadhi, ashtang yoga, neophyte, advanced, and so on and so forth. But it will clarify you, give you a lot of understanding about all these processes, so that you have a detailed understanding. So in Bhagavad Gita, we also study about Dhyan Yoga, but that is something which we study only very basic things. Here in Srimad Bhagavatam, there are more advanced concepts that are discussed. And later on in second chapter, we will also see description about the Paramatma form. What actually is this Paramatma form from the in the second chapter? Okay. Any
I see
comments?
you.
Any comments? Any
Yeah,
questions?
yeah. There's a comment from me, Prabhuji. What I'm seeing that this Ashtang Yoga is incomplete without a limb of bhakti.
Without, sorry.
Because without doing bhakti. After all, the dhyan ashraya
Huh.
of a yogi
Hmm.
is the Lord Himself.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So if an
Although
advanced
He is
yogi is
trying
there,
to merge.
yeah.
Yeah,
So if it is an advanced yogi, then ultimately he has to bring some bhakti because he has to meditate upon the Lord
yeah,
form of Lord Vishnu's form.
yes, yeah.
So it is bhakti mishra dhyan.
Okay,
Why it is not
okay.
pure bhakti? Why it is not pure bhakti? It is not pure bhakti because the desire of the advanced yogi is impersonal liberation. It is not the lotus feet of the Lord. He is doing this dhyan mainly to get impersonal liberation, to merge into Brahman.
So, is it true that a dhyan yoga is a long process as compared to bhakti? Why not take the bhakti directly?
Yeah, yeah. So that is what Shukdev Goswami will mention later on in the second chapter. That is what is being
Oh,
ultimately
okay.
the discussion will lead there only. Yeah. So wait till
Okay.
that point. Okay. A difficult chapter, but I hope it was possible for me to explain it to you through these charts and maybe some description and so on. So if you read the chapter by Prabhupada ji, then you might get even more idea about what is being discussed. Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Ishwar Prabhuji. Yes, Hare Krishna.
Very nice attempt on your part, but somehow it looked a little more challenging,
Challenging.
bit more. Yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah. It
But
is challenging. As I
we
mentioned,
are
it is technical in nature. It is technical in nature. But the
trying to
but the
get it
point is,
what here.
yeah. Please go ahead.
We are trying to, and I think most of it is clear, but and more will come in the next classes also. So we
Yeah,
are very hopeful.
yeah,
For
yeah.
the
So
same, since you have introduced us to bhakti, so from that point of view, we are feeling safe and upbeat.
yeah,
So even if you don't understand this technical part that much, I think bhakti, once we are with
yeah,
it,
yeah.
I think
So
will take us to,
this is not
yeah,
meant for us to practice.
right,
This
right,
is not
right,
meant for us to practice. We need not apply this in our life. But the point is,
yes,
uh, if it is a subject matter of Bhagavatam, uh, if we understand it to the degree we are supposed to understand it, then that is good enough.
right,
And
right.
if we are also able to make out that Dhyan Yoga is really very challenging compared to Bhakti Yoga, then really it is beneficial because it increases our focus and our faith and our confidence in the process of Bhakti.
Right.
So later on in our maybe devotional life also, if we see somebody lecturing us upon Dhyan Yoga or Ashtang Yoga or glorifying Dhyan Yoga and Ashtang Yoga, we understand because of by reading in Bhagavatam, we understand that Dhyan Yoga actually is okay. It's a method
Yes.
to achieve something transcendental. That is a
Right.
bona fide process of yoga, but not for me.
Right.
That is the idea.
Yes. Thank you, Prabhu. Very
Okay.
nice.
Okay, ji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Yes. Haniji,
And
how was your first experience? Sorry,
yeah, that's what. Yeah, yeah.
uh,
It was a wonderful class, Prabhuji. And I thank you also and Vrindavaneshwari Mataji also that she joined me here in this group.
okay.
And it was a wonderful class, very knowledgeable for me. As I
Okay.
said earlier, that in Gita from chapter 1st to 10th, I read it myself.
Hmm.
So in between, I found a few topics over there which were difficult to understand. And I was
Hmm.
like, I need someone to understand these topics. So one out of those topics was Ashtang Yoga. So
Hmm.
here now I got the clarity that what is Ashtang Yoga. And now
Hmm.
when I will read it in Bhagavad Gita, so I hope I will feel more comfortable
Yeah.
over there also.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to attend your class.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you very much, Mataji, for joining us. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Let us move. Let us meet next Sunday, same time. same program. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Okay, ji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Nana Mataji.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna ji.